You shouldn't hide from a night this beautiful. Aisha Okafor froze, champagne glass halfway to her lips. The voice came from behind her, low, deliberate, dangerous in a way that made her pulse quicken. She turned slowly on the rain-slicked rooftop terrace. Seoul's skyline glittered beyond the glass railing, but all she could see was him. Tall. Korean. Early 30s. Dark eyes that seemed to strip away every defense she'd carefully built. His suit jacket hung open, tie loosened, like he'd already decided the rules didn't apply to him. "I'm not hiding," she managed, her Nigerian accent softening the words. "Then why does it feel like you're running?" Thunder rumbled across the city. The wedding reception continued below them, her sister Chioma's perfect day, untouched by whatever dangerous thing was happening up here. He stepped closer. Rain misted between them, catching in his hair, on his shoulders. "Don't ask my name," he whispered, close enough that she could smell expensive cologne and something darker underneath. "Just remember this." His mouth found hers before she could breathe. Deep. Unhurried. Electric. The world disappeared into that kiss. Seoul. The wedding. Every reason she had to pull away. His hand curved along her jaw, thumb brushing her cheekbone with surprising gentleness for someone who kissed like he was claiming territory. Before I tell you what happened, subscribe to Mystic Tale by Luna and comment where you're watching from. She should have stopped him. Should have pushed away, demanded answers, protected herself from whatever fire she was stepping into. Instead, she kissed him back. When he finally pulled away, his expression was unreadable. Rain dripped from his dark hair. He studied her face like he was memorizing something he'd never see again. Then he turned and walked into the night, disappearing down the stairwell without a word. Aisha stood there, breathing hard, heart hammering against her ribs. Her lips still burned. Her hands trembled around the champagne glass. She didn't know his name. She didn't know anything except that kiss had just ruined her life. Morning light cut through the curtains of her hotel room like an accusation. Aisha stared at the ceiling, replaying last night frame by frame. The stranger's face. His hands. That devastating kiss that had no right to feel so inevitable. Her phone buzzed. "Chioma. Can you bring the gift box I left at the hotel? The one with the tea set for Min Suk's mother. We're having brunch at the family house. Address attached. Love you, sis." 2 hearts. Aisha groaned. The last thing she wanted was to face her sister's new in-laws while nursing a hangover of guilt and confusion. But Chioma had flown her all the way from Lagos to Seoul for this wedding. The least she could do was deliver a forgotten gift. She dressed carefully, a simple cream blouse and black slacks, nothing that screamed, "I kissed a stranger at your wedding reception." Professional. Invisible. The Seo family mansion sprawled across a hillside in Gangnam, all modern glass and traditional Korean architecture merged into something that screamed old money. The kind of wealth that didn't need to announce itself. A housekeeper led her through corridors lined with art that probably cost more than Aisha's entire interior design business. Voices drifted from somewhere ahead. Laughter. The clink of silverware. "Just leave it in the front room," the housekeeper said in careful English. "The family is still eating." Aisha nodded, relieved. She could drop the gift and escape before. "Aisha." Chioma appeared in the doorway, radiant in a silk-wrapped dress, her new husband Min Suk beside her. He was handsome in that soft, approachable way, nothing like the man who'd kissed Aisha under the rain. Come. You have to meet everyone properly. Yesterday was so chaotic." "I really shouldn't interrupt." "Nonsense. You're family now." Chioma pulled her into the dining room. A long table stretched beneath a crystal chandelier. Min Suk's parents sat at one end, dignified and watchful. A younger woman, probably a cousin, scrolled through her phone. And at the far end, buttoning his cufflinks with careful precision, stood him. The stranger from the rooftop. Time fractured. Aisha's vision tunneled. The gift box nearly slipped from her hands. He looked up. Their eyes locked. For one suspended heartbeat, she saw recognition flare in his gaze. Then his expression shuddered into something cold and amused, like he'd just drawn a winning hand in a game she didn't know she was playing. Perfect timing, Chioma said, oblivious. Aisha, this is Min Jun Seo, Min Suk's older brother. He flew in late from Shanghai, so you two didn't meet properly yesterday. Min Jun stood, crossing the room with the kind of controlled grace that made Aisha's breath catch. He extended his hand. A pleasure, he said, his voice smooth as aged whiskey. She forced herself to take it. His palm was warm. His grip lingered a fraction too long. Likewise, she managed. Min Jun runs the family's investment division, Min Suk explained proudly. He's the reason we have half our international partnerships. And the other half of our headaches, Min Jun's mother added dryly, though affection softened her tone. Everyone laughed. Aisha felt like she was drowning. Please join us, Min Suk's father gestured to an empty chair. I really can't. I insist. Min Jun's smile didn't reach his eyes. We should get to know Chioma's family properly. After all, we'll be seeing much more of each other now. The thread in those words was so subtle, so perfectly wrapped in courtesy, that only Aisha caught it. She sat. Min Jun returned to his seat directly across from her. Every time she looked up, he was watching. Conversation flowed around them. Wedding stories, business talk, Chioma gushing about the honeymoon plans. Aisha pushed food around her plate, hyper-aware of every breath, every glance. So, Aisha, Min Jun said suddenly, cutting through the chatter. Chioma mentioned you're an interior designer. What brings you to Seoul besides the wedding? Just the wedding, she said carefully.
Shame.
Seoul has so much to offer. His eyes held hers, especially at night. The city reveals its true face after dark. Chioma laughed. Min Jun loves playing tour guide. He's probably going to insist on showing you around before you leave. I wouldn't want to impose. It's no imposition. Min Jun's smile sharpened. I'm very good at making sure people see exactly what they need to see. Heat crawled up Aisha's neck. Everyone else heard friendly hospitality. She heard the edge beneath, the reminder that he held all the cards. After brunch, she escaped to the mansion's front garden, desperate for air. Boxwood hedges lined stone pathways. Somewhere, a fountain murmured. She made it 3 steps before a hand closed around her wrist. Min Jun spun her around, backing her against the garden wall. His body caged hers, one hand braced beside her head. Close enough to kiss again. Close enough to destroy her. We need to talk, he said quietly. There's nothing to talk about. Really? His thumb traced her racing pulse. Because last night suggested otherwise. Last night was a mistake. Was it? He leaned closer, voice dropping to that dangerous whisper. Because it felt pretty intentional to me. The way you kissed me back. The way you're looking at me right now. You're my sister's brother-in-law. Technically, I was that last night too. Didn't seem to stop you then. Shame and anger flared hot in her chest. I didn't know who you were. And now you do. His eyes searched hers. So, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. I'm going back to Lagos in 3 days and forgetting this ever happened. Liar. The word was almost gentle. You're not going to forget. Neither am I. Then we'll both have to live with it. She tried to push past him. He didn't move. Here's what's going to happen, Aisha. His voice went cold, businessman cold. You're going to help me with something. A project I'm launching, a luxury hotel renovation. I need someone with your particular eye for blending cultures. Nigerian warmth, Korean elegance. I'm not available. Make yourself available. His smile was all teeth now. Or I might accidentally mention to my brother, your sister's new husband, what happened on that rooftop. How his wife's sister kissed me like the world was ending. How she looked at me just now like she wants to do it again. The air left Aisha's lungs. You wouldn't test me. They stared at each other. The fountain kept murmuring. Somewhere inside, Chioma's laughter rang out, bright and innocent and trusting. Your sister doesn't need to know, Min Jun said softly. Unless you make me tell her. He stepped back, straightening his cuffs like they'd just discussed the weather. The shift was seamless. Predator to gentleman in a heartbeat. Think about it. You have until tonight. He pulled a business card from his pocket, tucking it into her hand. My private number. Call me with your answer. Then he walked away, leaving Aisha pressed against the wall, heart racing, the card burning in her palm like evidence of a crime she hadn't decided yet whether to commit. You came. Min Jun didn't look up from the architectural blueprints spread across his office desk. Late afternoon sun slanted through floor-to-ceiling windows, turning Seoul's skyline into a wall of gold and glass behind him. Aisha closed the door, the snick of the latch unnaturally loud. I don't have a choice. Everyone has a choice. He straightened, rolling up his sleeves with deliberate care. You're just making the smart one. Blackmail isn't smart. It's cruel. It's insurance. He gestured to the chair across from him. Sit. Let's discuss the terms. She remained standing. What exactly do you want from me? I told you. Your expertise. He tapped the blueprints. This property in Itaewon, I'm converting it into a boutique hotel. High-end. International clientele. I need interiors that feel both global and rooted. Your portfolio shows you understand that balance. There are hundreds of designers in Seoul who could do this. But none of them kissed me on a rooftop. His smile was sharp, which means none of them have the same motivation to keep things professional. Heat crawled up her neck. How long? 6 weeks. Maybe 8, depending on the contractors. He pulled out a folder, sliding it across the desk. The contract. Standard rates, though I'm paying double because of the accelerated timeline. You'll work directly with me. No intermediaries. Aisha flipped through the pages, her interior designer brain automatically cataloging the scope. It was legitimate work, complex, challenging, exactly the kind of project that could elevate her international portfolio. Under any other circumstances, she'd have jumped at it. And after this is done? You go back to Lagos. I stay in Seoul. We both pretend that kiss never happened. He paused. Unless you'd prefer a different arrangement. The suggestion hung between them, weighted with possibility and danger. I prefer never seeing you again after this contract ends. Liar, he said again, but something flickered in his eyes. Something almost like disappointment. She signed the papers with sharp, angry strokes. The next 3 weeks became a study in controlled chaos. Aisha threw herself into the project with the kind of focus that left no room for examining what she was really doing. She sourced textiles from Nigerian artisans, commissioned custom furniture from Korean craftsmen, spent hours in Min Jun's office debating color palettes and spatial flow. If you do the same thing, subscribe to Mystic Tale by Luna and tell me where you're watching from. He was brilliant at his work, she had to admit. Sharp, decisive, with an instinct for what would work that matched her own. They fell into a rhythm, her sketches, his feedback, the back and forth that somehow felt like dancing with knives. But the tension never eased. Every meeting was a battlefield. Every accidental touch, passing blueprints, reaching for the same fabric sample, crackled with the memory of that kiss. You're avoiding the penthouse suite design, Min Jun said one evening, 4th week in. Rain drummed against the windows. Everyone else had gone home hours ago. Aisha looked up from her laptop. I'm not avoiding it. You've finished every other floor. The penthouse is the showcase. The crown jewel. He crossed to where she sat, perching on the edge of the conference table. What's the problem? It needs to be perfect. I'm still working through concepts. Or you're stalling because designing a luxury bedroom with me feels too close to admitting something you're not ready to face. Her jaw tightened. Not everything is about that kiss. No. He leaned forward, close enough that she caught his scent, coffee and rain and expensive cologne. Then why do you hold your breath every time I get near you? Professional boundaries. We crossed those the moment your lips touched mine. She stood abruptly, putting distance between them. This is exactly why I didn't want to work with you. You can't keep things separate. Neither can you. He followed, cornering her against the window. Seoul glittered below them, oblivious. Every time you look at me, I see it. The war you're fighting with yourself. Then stop looking. I can't. The admission was rough, almost angry. Believe me, I've tried. They stared at each other. Rain streaked the glass. Somewhere in the building, a phone rang and went unanswered. Aisha's phone buzzed, shattering the moment. Chioma's face lit up the screen. She answered, stepping away. Hey, sis. Aisha. Are you busy? Min Suk and I are grabbing dinner at that restaurant you liked in Hongdae. Come join us. I'm still at work. Work? It's almost 9. What kind of slave driver client do you have? Min Jun's expression turned sardonic. He could probably hear every word. Just a demanding project. I'll catch up with you tomorrow, okay? You've been saying that all week. I barely see you anymore. Chioma's voice held a note of hurt. I thought this trip was about spending time together. Guilt twisted in Aisha's stomach. I know. I'm sorry. This contract just has tight deadlines. Well, at least tell me you're making good money. Min Suk says Seoul clients can be really demanding. The money's fine. Good. You work too hard, you know that? Don't forget to actually enjoy the city while you're here. Chioma paused. Hey, Min Jun's been asking about you. He wants to know if you'd consult on his yacht club project after this hotel thing wraps. I told him you're amazing but probably too booked. Should I tell him you're interested? Aisha's eyes flicked to Min Jun. He raised an eyebrow, clearly amused. Let's finish this project first. Okay. Love you. Don't work too late. The call ended. Silence rushed back in, heavier now. Your sister's worried about you, Min Jun observed. My sister doesn't know her brother-in-law is blackmailing me. Is that really what this is anymore? He moved closer again, predatory and patient. Because it feels like you're finding excuses to stay. Don't flatter yourself. Then prove me wrong. Walk out. Break the contract. Call my bluff. She wanted to. God. She wanted to storm out and never look back. But something held her rooted, not the blackmail, not the contract. Something more dangerous. That's what I thought. His voice went soft. You're not here because I'm forcing you. You're here because you want to see where this goes. This goes nowhere. We finish the hotel. I leave. End of story. Keep telling yourself that. He walked back to his desk, leaving her by the window, heart racing and hating herself for the truth in his words. The breakthrough happened at 3 a.m. Aisha had been poring over penthouse layouts in her hotel room, frustration mounting. Nothing worked. Everything felt either too cold or trying too hard. Her phone buzzed. Min Jun. Can't sleep either? Come to the site. I have an idea. She should have ignored it. Should have stayed in her safe hotel room with its minibar and terrible coffee. Instead, she grabbed her jacket. The construction site was dark except for work lights Min Jun had switched on. Dust sheets covered furniture. The space smelled of fresh paint and possibility. He stood in the center of the unfinished penthouse, hands in his pockets, staring at the bare walls. What are we doing here? Aisha asked. Feeling it. You can't design a space properly until you feel it. He turned to her. Close your eyes. Min Jun. Humor me. She sighed but obeyed. Darkness wrapped around her senses. What do you hear? His voice came from somewhere to her left. Traffic. Distant. The city breathing. What do you smell? Paint. Wood. Something floral from outside. What do you feel? Her eyes opened. He stood directly in front of her now, close enough to touch. I feel like you're manipulating me again. I'm trying to help you break through whatever wall you've built. His hand lifted, not quite touching her face. You're designing with your head. This space needs your heart. My heart isn't part of this contract. Maybe it should be. The air between them thickened. Every reason to step back dissolved under the weight of his gaze. Tell me something true, he said quietly. Just one thing. No games, no defenses. Why? Because I'm tired of pretending this is just business. Aisha's breath caught. This was the precipice, the moment before everything changed or shattered. I think about that kiss, she admitted. Every day. I hate that I do, but I can't stop. Something shifted in his expression. Relief, maybe. Or recognition. I haven't stopped thinking about it either. Haven't stopped wanting to do it again. His thumb finally made contact, brushing her cheekbone. Haven't stopped imagining what would happen if we stopped fighting this. Nothing can happen. My sister. I know. Frustration edged his voice. Believe me, I know. But knowing something is impossible doesn't make wanting it any less real. They stood there, balanced on the knife's edge between restraint and surrender. Aisha's phone shattered the moment again. But this time, it wasn't a call, it was an alert. A calendar reminder. Asterisk, family dinner tomorrow night, Min Suk's parents' house. Don't forget. Asterisk. Reality crashed back in. She stepped away, wrapping her arms around herself. I should go. Aisha. I'll have the penthouse designs ready by Friday. She fled before he could stop her, before she could do something they'd both regret. But the universe, it seemed, had other plans. 2 days later, Aisha arrived at the construction site to find it swarming with police. Her heart dropped. She pushed through the small crowd of workers, spotting Min Jun talking to 2 detectives near the entrance. What happened? She demanded. He turned, his expression carved from stone. Someone broke in last night, vandalized the penthouse, stole some equipment. Is anyone hurt? No. But they left something. He handed her a manila envelope, his jaw tight. Inside were photographs. Her and Min Jun at his office, heads bent over blueprints. At the construction site late at night. The images were clearly surveilled, taken with a telephoto lens from a distance. A note was paper-clipped to the front. Asterisk, interesting partnership. Does the family know? Asterisk. Aisha's blood went cold. Who did this? That's what we're trying to find out. Min Jun's voice was controlled, but rage simmered beneath. The detectives think it might be connected to business rivals. There's been tension with some of my acquisitions. Or someone who knows about us. There is no us for anyone to know about, he said, but his eyes told a different story. One of the detectives approached. Mr. CEO, we'll need to interview everyone who's had access to the site, including Ms. Okafor. Of course. As the detective led her aside for questions, Aisha caught Min Jun watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. Protectiveness. Concern. And beneath it all, something darker. Fear. Because whoever had taken those photos wasn't just threatening the hotel project. They were threatening to expose the one secret that could destroy both their families. We need to talk. Not here. Min Jun's voice was low, urgent in Aisha's ear as the police finally cleared the construction site. Workers had been sent home. Yellow tape cordoned off the vandalized penthouse. She glanced around the emptying lot. Where? My place. It's secure. That's not. Someone is watching us, Aisha. Taking photos. Leaving threats. His hand found the small of her back, guiding her toward his car. We need to figure out who and why. And we can't do that with an audience. The drive to his apartment was silent. Tension coiled tight between them. Min Jun's building rose above Gangnam in sleek black glass, the kind of address that required both wealth and connections. His penthouse was all clean lines and muted colors, grays, blacks, deep blues. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of Seoul's glittering sprawl. Art hung on the walls, pieces Aisha recognized from international galleries. Drink. He moved to the bar without waiting for an answer. I need a clear head. After today, I don't. He poured whiskey neat. Downed it. Poured another. Aisha had never seen him rattled before. The control he wore like armor had cracked, revealing something raw underneath. Talk to me, she said. Who would do this? He set the glass down with careful precision. I've made enemies. It comes with the territory. What territory exactly? You said investment division, but those photos felt personal. Targeted. I acquire failing businesses. Turn them profitable. Sometimes that means cutting deals people don't like. Making moves that get messy. He loosened his tie, frustration evident in every movement. But this feels different. Different how? Most business rivals would go after me directly. Attack my reputation, my deals. They wouldn't involve you. His eyes met hers. Unless they know involving you is the fastest way to hurt me. The admission hung between them, weighted with meaning neither was ready to unpack. Aisha moved to the windows, needing distance. Maybe it's not about business. Maybe someone from the family. No. His answer came swift and certain. My family doesn't operate like this. If they had a problem, they'd confront me directly. Then who? Min Jun was quiet for a long moment. Then, there's something you should know about my brother. The shift in his tone made her turn. He stood with his back to the bar, silhouetted against the city lights, looking suddenly exhausted. Min Suk isn't just my younger brother. He's the heir everyone wants. Charming, diplomatic, everything our father hoped for. Bitterness crept into his voice. I was supposed to be those things. Instead, I became the fixer. The one who handles the problems no one else wants to touch. That's why they call you Ruthless. Among other things. He moved to join her at the window. My father gave me the investment division because it keeps me useful, but separate. Out of the main family business. What is the main business? Pharmaceuticals. Medical devices. All legitimate. All above board. He paused. Mostly. Aisha's stomach tightened. Mostly? There are deals that happen in gray areas. Partnerships with overseas distributors who aren't as careful about regulations. Contracts that benefit from political connections. He met her gaze. Min Suk handles those now. He's better at maintaining the friendly facade while doing whatever's necessary. Does Chioma know? What do you think?
No.
Of course not. Chioma saw her perfect husband with his perfect family, never looking beneath the surface. Have you ever felt this? Comment your experience, and where you're watching from. ***. Why are you telling me this? Aisha asked. Because whoever took those photos might be connected to Min Suk's deals. And if that's true, you're in danger just by being associated with me. Then we end the contract. I go home. It's too late for that. He turned to her, voice dropping. They've already made you leverage. Running won't change that. Fear iced through her veins. So, what do? We figure out what they want, and we don't give it to them. His hand lifted, cupping her face with surprising gentleness. I won't let anything happen to you. I promise. You can't promise that. Watch me. The certainty in his voice, the fierce protectiveness in his eyes, it cracked something open inside her. All the walls she'd built, all the reasons she'd recited for why this couldn't happen, crumbled under the weight of that single look. Min Jun. Thunder cracked overhead. Rain began to fall, sudden and violent, streaking the windows like tears. He stepped closer, his other hand finding her waist. Tell me to stop. Tell me you don't want this, and I'll call you a car. You'll never have to see me again outside of professional necessity. She should say it. Should end this before it consumed them both. Instead, I can't. Can't what? Can't tell you to stop. Can't pretend I don't want this. The admission tore out of her. I've tried. God knows I've tried. But every time I'm near you. He kissed her. Not like the rooftop, not stolen or desperate. This kiss was a deliberate crossing of every line they'd drawn. His mouth claimed hers with an intensity that made her knees weak, hands tangling in her hair, pulling her closer until no space existed between them. Aisha kissed him back with equal ferocity, months of tension exploding into this moment. Her fingers found the buttons of his shirt, need overriding every rational thought. They stumbled toward the couch, mouths never breaking contact. Rain hammered against the windows. The city lights blurred into abstract streaks of color. Min Jun pulled back just enough to search her face. Are you sure?
No.
She kissed him again, harder. But I'm doing it anyway. He groaned against her mouth, hands sliding beneath her blouse. Heat built between them, urgent and undeniable. Then his phone rang. They froze, breathing hard. The ringtone was specific, family. Min Jun cursed, extracting himself and grabbing the device.
What?
Aisha couldn't hear the other side, but she watched his expression shift from irritation to cold fury. When?
Pause.
I'll be there in 20 minutes. He ended the call, running a hand through his disheveled hair. What happened? Aisha asked, already knowing this moment had shattered. Min-suk. He's been in an accident. They're taking him to Seoul National University Hospital. Her blood went cold. Is he alive? But they're not sure how bad it is yet. He was already moving, grabbing his jacket and keys. I have to go. I'm coming with you. Aisha. Chioma's my sister. I'm not letting her face this alone. He nodded curtly. They left together, the intimacy of moments before replaced by grim urgency. The hospital's emergency wing was chaos contained by sterile white walls. Chioma sat in the waiting area, mascara smeared, still in her work clothes. Min-suk's mother stood nearby, speaking rapid Korean into her phone. His father paced, face carved from stone. Chioma looked up as they arrived. Relief and devastation warred in her expression. Aisha. She stumbled forward, collapsing into her sister's arms. They won't tell me anything. Just that there was an accident, that he's in surgery. Sure, I'm here. It's going to be okay. You don't know that. Chioma's voice broke. What if it's not? What if I lose him? Aisha held her tighter, meeting Min Jun's gaze over her sister's shaking shoulders. His expression was unreadable, but something dark moved behind his eyes. A doctor emerged from the surgical wing. Everyone converged. Mr. Seo is stable, the doctor said in careful English for Chioma's benefit. He has 3 broken ribs, a fractured arm, and significant bruising. But no internal bleeding, no head trauma. He was very lucky. Chioma's knees buckled. Aisha and Min Jun's mother caught her simultaneously. Can I see him? Chioma managed.
Soon.
He's in recovery now. Give us another hour. As the doctor left, Min-suk's father turned to his eldest son. The police are calling it a hit and run. Someone ran him off the road deliberately. Min Jun's jaw tightened. Where? Gangnam Boulevard. Near the office district. His father's eyes narrowed. This wasn't random, was it? I don't know yet. But you suspect. The 2 men stared at each other, an entire conversation happening in silence. Then Min Jun's father turned away, disgust evident. Whatever you're involved in, fix it. Before someone else in this family gets hurt. He strode off toward the elevator. Min-suk's mother followed, throwing Min Jun a look that mixed disappointment with something almost like pity. Chioma had gone to get water, leaving Aisha and Min Jun alone in the corner of the waiting area. This is connected, Aisha whispered. To the photos, the break-in. I know. They went after your brother to send you a message. I know. His hands clenched into fists. And the message is clear. Stop what I'm doing, or they'll escalate. Stop what? The hotel project? That doesn't make sense. He was quiet for too long. Min Jun, what aren't you telling me? The hotel renovation. It's not just a business venture. He kept his voice low, eyes scanning the room for listeners. The property used to belong to a company involved in some very questionable financial activities. Money laundering, primarily. When I acquired it, I also acquired access to records. Evidence. Aisha's heart sank. Evidence of what? Transactions that implicate several major players in Seoul's business community, including some with connections to my family's pharmaceutical distribution network. His gaze found hers. I've been quietly gathering proof, planning to hand it over to prosecutors. Does your brother know? Not the specifics. But he knows I've been asking questions, digging into deals he thought were buried. The pieces clicked into horrifying place. You think Min-suk's accident was meant to warn you off the investigation? Or worse, to permanently stop me? He exhaled slowly. Which means everyone close to me is now a target. Including me, especially you. His hand found hers, squeezing once. Because they know you're the person who could make me back down. Chioma returned before Aisha could respond, eyes red but determined. They're letting me see him now. Will you come? Of course. As Chioma led her toward the recovery wing, Aisha glanced back. Min Jun stood alone in the waiting area, silhouetted against the harsh fluorescent lights, looking like a man at war with himself. And she realized with sickening clarity, loving him might cost everything. Min-suk looked small in the hospital bed, face bruised and arm wrapped in a cast. But he smiled when Chioma entered, reaching for her with his good hand. "Hey, beautiful. Sorry about the dramatic exit." Chioma burst into tears, pressing kisses to his face, his hand, anywhere she could reach. "Don't you ever scare me like that again." "I'll try my best." Aisha stood at the foot of the bed, giving them space. But Min-suk's eyes found hers. "Thank you for being here," he said softly. "For her. Always." Something flickered in his expression, gratitude, maybe, or guilt. Then his gaze shifted to the doorway, where Min Jun had appeared. The brothers stared at each other. Tension crackled between them, invisible but suffocating. "I'll find who did this," Min Jun said. Min-suk's smile was strained. "Will you? Or will you just make things worse like you always do?" "Min-suk," Chioma started. "It's fine." But Min Jun's voice was ice. "Get some rest, little brother. We'll talk later." He left before anyone could respond. Aisha excused herself moments later, following him into the hallway. She caught up outside, rain still falling in sheets. "That wasn't just sibling tension," she said. Min Jun stared out at the storm.
"No."
"It wasn't. He knows something. He knows everything." He turned to her, and for the first time, she saw real fear in his eyes. "My brother isn't the victim here, Aisha. He's the one I've been investigating. Your brother is laundering money through the pharmaceutical distribution network." Min Jun's words hung in the rain-soaked air outside the hospital. Aisha felt the ground tilt beneath her feet. "That's impossible. Min-suk is charming, gentle, everything a good husband should be." His laugh was bitter. "That's what makes him perfect for it. No one suspects the golden son. But Chioma doesn't know, can't know." He gripped her shoulders. "That's why I haven't gone to the authorities yet. Once this breaks, it destroys everyone. Your sister's marriage, my family's reputation, everything." Aisha pulled away, mind racing. "The accident wasn't a warning to you. It was Min-suk's own people turning on him. Or making it look like an accident to throw off suspicion." Min Jun ran a hand through his wet hair. "Either way, we're out of time. Whatever's happening is escalating. So what do? We get the evidence somewhere safe. Then we make a choice." His eyes met hers, dark and determined. "Expose the truth and let the pieces fall. Or bury it and hope no one else gets hurt. That's not a choice. If he's guilty, he's still your sister's husband. Still my brother." Pain cracked through his voice. "And exposing him means admitting I've known for months and said nothing." They stood there in the rain, both understanding that whatever happened next would leave wreckage in its wake. The family dinner 3 nights later was a carefully orchestrated performance. Min-suk had been released from the hospital with strict orders to rest. He sat at the head of the table in his parents' dining room, arm in a sling, playing the role of grateful survivor. Chioma fussed over him, refilling his water, adjusting his cushions. Min Jun's mother had insisted on the gathering, a show of family unity in the face of tragedy. She'd invited Aisha specifically, saying she was practically family now. The irony tasted like ash. Aisha pushed food around her plate, hyper-aware of Min Jun sitting across from her. They hadn't been alone since the hospital. He'd spent the last 3 days gathering final evidence, preparing for whatever came next. "You're quiet tonight," Min-suk's mother observed, her sharp eyes on Aisha. "Is the food not to your liking?" "It's delicious. I'm just tired." "She's been working herself to death on that hotel project," Chioma chimed in. "Min Jun, you really should give her a break. She looks exhausted." "The project is nearly complete," Min Jun said neutrally. "Just a few final details." Such dedication. Min-suk raised his glass in a toast, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. "To business partnerships that exceed expectations." Something in his tone made Aisha's skin crawl. He knew. Somehow, he knew about her and Min Jun. As if reading her thoughts, Min-suk continued, "I've been thinking we should celebrate the hotel's completion with a proper party. Invite business partners, press. Show everyone what the CO family can accomplish." That's not necessary, Min Jun said flatly. I insist. It's the least we can do to thank Ms. Okafor for her exceptional work. Min Suk's gaze flicked between them. Unless there's a reason you'd prefer to keep things private? The table went silent. Min Jun's father set down his chopsticks with deliberate care. Is there something you want to say, Min Suk? The elder CO asked. Just that I appreciate family, looking out for family, making sure no one makes decisions that could hurt us all. The threat was unmistakable now. Aisha's heart hammered. Min Jun stood abruptly. Father, I need to speak with you. Privately. We're in the middle of dinner.
Now.
The command in his voice silenced the room. Min Jun's father stood slowly, reading something in his eldest son's expression that made his own face harden. They left together, disappearing into the study. The door clicked shut. Chioma laughed nervously. Brothers, right? Always so dramatic. But Min Suk wasn't laughing. He watched the closed door with an expression that sent ice down Aisha's spine. Raised voices filtered through the study walls. Aisha excused herself to use the bathroom, but instead found herself in the hallway outside, listening. You've known about this for how long? Min Jun's father's voice was thunderous. 4 months. I've been building an airtight case. Against your own brother? Against a criminal who happens to share my blood. Min Jun's voice was steel. He's laundering money through our pharmaceutical network, partnering with cartels in Southeast Asia. Every legitimate deal we make is funding operations that get people killed. You have no proof. I have transactions. Offshore accounts in Min Suk's name. Communications between him and known traffickers. Papers rustled. It's all here. Everything prosecutors would need. A long silence. Then, quietly, what do you want? I want him to stop. To confess, make restitution, face consequences. Min Jun paused. But more than that, I want to protect this family from the fallout. If this goes public, it destroys us all. So you came to me first. You're the head of this family. The decision should be yours. Another silence, heavier than the first. There's a board meeting tomorrow night, his father said finally. Major shareholders, company executives. I'll arrange for Min Suk to present the quarterly reports.
Why?
Because when I confront him publicly, with the board present, he won't be able to deny it. And we can contain the damage internally before it reaches the authorities. You're going to cover this up. I'm going to save this company and this family. His father's voice turned hard. We handle our own problems, Min Jun. We always have. Even when our problems are felonies? Especially then. Footsteps approached the door. Aisha fled back to the dining room, pulse racing. She slid into her seat just as the study door opened. Min Jun and his father emerged, both wearing masks of composure. But Aisha saw the fury in Min Jun's eyes, the rigid set of his jaw. He was going to do something that wouldn't wait for board meetings or family politics. The call came at midnight. I'm outside your hotel. We need to talk. Aisha grabbed her jacket and went down. Min Jun's car idled at the curb, windows tinted dark. She slipped into the passenger seat. What happened? My father's planning to bury this. Make Min Suk step down quietly, pay off anyone who might talk, and pretend none of it happened. His hands gripped the steering wheel. I can't let that happen. So you're going to the police. Tomorrow morning. I have copies of everything in a secure location. Once I hand it over, there's no taking it back. Min Jun, this will destroy your family. My family is already destroyed. We're just pretending otherwise. He turned to face her. I need to know if you're with me on this. Because once I do this, the fallout is going to be nuclear. Your sister's marriage, your connection to all of us, it all becomes public. Aisha thought of Chioma, radiant on her wedding day. Thought of the life her sister had built here, the future she'd imagined. Then she thought of the people hurt by Min Suk's deals. The families destroyed by the drugs and money his network enabled. What time are we going to the police? Relief flooded his expression. He leaned forward, pressing his forehead to hers. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Chioma's going to hate me for this. She'll understand eventually. You don't know my sister. Aisha pulled back. But it doesn't matter. This is the right thing to do. He kissed her then, desperate and grateful and terrified all at once. A kiss that tasted like goodbye. I love you, he said against her mouth. I should have told you sooner. I know. She kissed him back. I love you too. Which is why we're going to survive whatever comes next. They never made it to the police station. At 6 a.m., Aisha's phone exploded with messages.
Chioma.
Min Jun's mother. News alerts. She grabbed the phone, dread pooling in her stomach. The headline read, Pharmaceutical heir Min Suk SEO dead in apparent suicide. Below it, a photo of Min Suk's apartment building, emergency vehicles crowding the street. Aisha's hands shook. She called Min Jun. I know, he answered, voice hollow. I'm already here. What happened? They're saying he jumped. Left a note confessing to financial crimes. A bitter laugh. Convenient timing. You don't think it was suicide? I think someone made sure he couldn't talk. Sirens wailed in the background. The evidence I collected is missing Aisha. Someone broke into the storage unit overnight. Took everything. Her blood went cold. Your father. Or whoever Min Suk was working with. Maybe both. His voice cracked. Either way, we have nothing now. No proof, no case. Just a dead man and a family closing ranks. Where does that leave us? Exactly where we started. Except now my brother is dead, and I'm the one everyone will blame for pushing him too hard. He exhaled shakily. You should go back to Lagos. Distance yourself from this disaster before it pulls you under. Min Jun. I mean it, Aisha. This is over. All of it. There's nothing left to fight for. The line went dead. Aisha sat in her hotel room as dawn broke over Seoul, understanding with brutal clarity that some battles couldn't be won. Some secrets buried themselves too deep to ever surface. And sometimes love wasn't enough to save anyone. The funeral was held 4 days later under gray skies threatening rain. Chioma stood at the graveside in black, supported by Min Suk's mother. She looked hollowed out, a ghost of the vibrant woman who'd laughed at her wedding reception. She hadn't spoken to Aisha since the news broke. Hadn't returned calls or messages. When Aisha approached her at the service, Chioma turned away without a word. The message was clear. Whatever sisterhood they'd shared was another casualty of this tragedy. Min Jun stood apart from the family, isolated even in grief. His father had made his position clear. Min Jun's investigation had driven Min Suk to desperation. That narrative had taken hold in the media, in whispered conversations, in the cold shoulders at the funeral. As mourners began to leave, Aisha found herself standing alone at the grave. She hadn't known Min Suk well, but she grieved anyway, for the man he might have been, for the future stolen from him, for the poison that had infected his choices until there was no way out. You're still here. She turned. Min Jun approached slowly, hands in his pockets, looking older than his years. I'm leaving tonight, she said. Going home. That's smart. They stood in silence, watching workers prepare to fill the grave. Do you regret it? She asked quietly. Any of it? The investigation?
No.
I'd do it again. He paused. But I regret that kiss on the rooftop. Because it dragged you into this nightmare. I don't regret it. The truth surprised even her. Whatever else happened, that was real. We were real. Were. He smiled sadly. Past tense. Has to be. Your family, my sister. There's too much damage. I know. But neither of them moved to leave. They stood together as the sky finally opened, rain washing over the funeral flowers, the fresh earth, the remains of something that might have been love if the world had been kinder. Goodbye, Aisha. Goodbye, Min Jun. She walked away first, not looking back, carrying the weight of everything unsaid.